So tonight I was thinking about, characters, and we've been talking about, Vincent Valentine and Sid Highwind and some other characters that are going to be popping up in part 2 and some story elements that might be popping off around these characters. But I wanted to change gears slightly, just a little bit, right? And we're going to talk about a character who is going to be very, very important and vital to the story of Final Fantasy VII moving forward throughout this whole remake, reboot, sequel, compilation, rebuff, whatever you want to call it. And that is Tseng of the Turks. Now, before I get started, I want to throw it out there. If you like the content, subscribe to the channel, throw a like on the video. I appreciate it. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Kaufman20XX right there on the top of the screen. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this because there's a lot to talk about with this character. This is what I've been sitting on because I talked to a lot of you all in the Discord, and good conversations going on there, by the way. I talked to a lot of you all on Discord, and I've had some people ask me in DMs and things like that who I think the sleeper character might be in the Final Fantasy VII reboot thing that we know of. Not the ones that we speculate on that we haven't seen yet, but the ones that we know of. And for me, the biggest wild card that we know of right now is Tseng. And I'm going to keep this simple with him right now just to kind of get the conversation started. But there's a couple of big major plot points that revolve specifically around Tseng that I want to talk about. So first off, his relationship with Aerith, like his connection, his tie with Aerith. Now, I know in the original game, in Final Fantasy VII, when you go to Wutai and see Reno and Rude hanging out, you eavesdrop on their conversation, and they kind of talk about Elena and the girls in the story, basically, by the way, right? And they're like, yeah, she's got a thing for Tseng. And then the translation said something like, yeah, but he's got a thing for that ancient, or something, nodding to Aerith. I feel like that wasn't translated properly. I feel like Tseng really cares about Aerith, but I don't think it's like in a romantic kind of way. I feel like there's a lot of that going on in the Final Fantasy VII story. Like, I think a lot of people want to like ship a lot of characters and stuff. And I don't necessarily think that's always the intention. And I think that is kind of the case with Tseng as far as Aerith is concerned, because if you remember Crisis Core, Tseng's role in Crisis Core was to basically act as a steward of Shinra in a way for the Zack character. Like, he would accompany him, he would help him, he was an information guy and all that kind of thing. Still leader of the Turks, but he was, I think it was before Crisis, when he became, after BC, right, when he became the leader of the Turks. He was like I think he was the field commander for the Turks. And before Crisis, he kind of gave you your missions as the player or whatever. I've never played it, just I know what I've seen online, what I've read. But he's a very important character, especially with the Aerith storyline, right? Tseng is a character who... he's a company man, right? He's the company man, which makes him very interesting. He does dastardly things and is very cold about the things he does. But he's actually a very emotionally charged guy, right? He's a very emotional character. And before Crisis, when he was kind of like, still kind of rookie-esque in Shinra or whatever, he was very driven by his passion, by his emotions. And he wasn't the cold, calculated leader that he is now. But that dude is still underneath. As referenced at the end of Crisis Core, when Zack and Cloud are on their way, we know how the story goes, right? Zack gets gunned down, all that kind of thing. But he sends Cisne, who is if you don't know Crisis Core, she is kind of works at the right hand of Tseng in a way in Crisis Core. She also has a lot to do with Zack's storyline, and he tells her, he's like, go save him, go save Zack, go save Cloud, because before Zack takes the mission to Nibelheim, he actually goes to Tseng and says, hey, I want you to watch over Aerith for me, she's a good girl, all that kind of stuff. You know, keep her safe, just keep an eye on her and all that kind of thing. He's like, yeah, sure, you know. And Aerith actually gives a letter to Zack every time that she writes a letter for Zack. She gives it to Tseng to give to him, and he's sitting on 88 letters to give to Zack. Now, there's no reason to believe that that stuff has not happened in the remake timeline. Like, he is still he still has that relationship with Aerith. All this other kind of stuff still happening. Like, she knows Tseng, and the way that Aerith talks to Tseng in the bar when he shows up to get her was really telling for me. You know, he didn't want to hurt her. He was there to get her and to take her back to Shinra because that's his job. He's a company guy. But he is the type of character who knows a lot of stuff. He knows everything on everybody, right? So I say all that to get to this, basically. Tseng knows where he knows Cloud, for one thing. He knows Cloud. He knows who Cloud is. Cloud doesn't know who Tseng is, but Tseng knows who Cloud is. And I find that very interesting, because there was the shot on top of the pillar where he appears in the video, in, you know, he's talking to everybody and he can see them. He sees Cloud, but he doesn't tip his hand, right? He doesn't play like he knows him. And there are instances in the story in Remake where, you know, Tseng could have divulged what he knows about Avalanche, what he knows about Cloud and all that kind of stuff, but he doesn't. I love that, because he also knows Zack, he knows Cloud, and whatever is going on with Zack right now in the storyline, I feel like Tseng is directly responsible for it. Tseng, like that ending for Crisis Core, where he sends Cisne to save Zack and save Cloud, this time it worked. This time it happened because the Whispers were able to mess with the soldiers to keep them from killing Zack. Zack and Cloud survive. I feel like as they're in the wasteland, making their way toward Shinra, making their way toward the Midgar, I feel like Cisne was able to intercept. I feel like she was able to intercept them and transport them into a facility inside. Now, she didn't take them and escape. I feel like she transported them under the orders of Tseng to a secret facility in Midgar. What could that secret facility have been? What could that secret facility have been? What is an old facility underneath Midgar that was originally used to treat wounded members of the soldier program? Deep Ground. I feel like Tseng gave Cisne orders. Once she found them and got them, like, oh, they're in bad shape, they're beat up, they're not good. Hey, take them to Deep Ground. Here's my Tseng card. Here's my Leader of the Turks ID card, or whatever. Here's my access. Here's my level of access. Take them to Deep Ground. Let them get worked up. Let them get healed up, and then we will get them out of there. I feel like that's kind of what's going on. I feel like Tseng is going to have a huge hand in whatever goes on. And the reason I say they went to Deep Ground, the reason I say they both made it into Deep Ground, is because when they have when you're fighting the unknown entity, right at the end of it, Zack comes in, well, there we go. Cloud comes in, deals the final blow. Barrett shoots the hole in the wall, and you look in there, and there's stuff in there, there's stuff happening in there, but the Whispers keep you out. I feel like that might have been where Zack and Cloud were treated, because Cloud almost feels like he's been in there before. There's that eerie image of him like being activated or whatever. I feel like there's some kind of tie there, and I feel like Tseng might be one of the people responsible for getting them in there. So there's this whole keeping up appearances thing with Tseng, where he almost comes off like a double agent, right? Now we know that Rufus Shinra was manipulating things between Avalanche and Shinra and before Crisis. He had a hand in that. And who is now the right-hand man of Rufus in Final Fantasy VII Remake? At the end of it, they make it clear that Tseng is kind of the right-hand man, as Heidegger was the right-hand man to President Shinra. Tseng and Rufus being so closely linked and being so morally gray. Rufus is morally gray, right? Tseng comes off as more of a good guy, posing as a guy who's fine doing bad things, right, for the greater good. Because at the end of Crisis Core, they make no bones about Tseng is a good guy, and he's still a good guy. I feel like he's going to be one of the kind of hidden gem protagonists by the end of the remake story. Him and Aerith have a really tight relationship that's kind of alluded to in the old game, and I feel like they're going to dive deeper into it in part 2, because, you know, in the original game, you know, Aerith, after what happens to Tseng or whatever, she cries for him. She's upset about what happened. They have a friendship. They spent 4 years talking back and forth about Zack, and Tseng was probably lying to her about, you know, of course, so she wouldn't feel bad, lying about, you know, Zack disappearing on the mission and all this kind of stuff, and then they're still looking for him. We're still looking for him. He's out there somewhere. We haven't recovered his body. He's a soldier. He's going to be fine. He'll be all right. All this kind of stuff, as she gives him a letter, like every time she sees him, for Zack. They have a close relationship. That's not going to be ignored. That's one of the best parts of compilation, honestly, if you ask me, is that whole gray area relationship between the leader of the Turks and Aerith. I always thought that was one of the really surprisingly amazing parts of the story, and really fleshes out those characters a lot more, adds depth, adds dimension. And I feel like we're going to get more scenes with Tseng and Aerith as we move forward, because there are, like in the Mithril Caves in the original game, where Rude and Elena and Tseng come across the party in the Mithril Caves, right? Different dialogue based on who you've got in your party at that point. But Tseng's basically like, look, neither one of us want a conflict right now. We're going to go about our way. You all go about your way. We can forget this ever happened. You know, there's no cameras around right now. Nobody's tracking us. You know, we don't have to do this. We're not in Midgar. There's no cameras on this. Don't make us whoop your ass right now. That's basically what Tseng says. And I find it interesting, too, that you never, ever fight Tseng. You never fight him in the original game. You fight all the Turks. You never fight him. So I find that very interesting, the way they did that. Now, he does the game does lead you to believe that he dies in the original game, but he doesn't, because he pops up again in Advent Children. And him and Elena save Rufus from falling to his death, essentially. Another great thing about Tseng is that, being the leader of the Turks, he knows all of Shinra's dirty secrets, because he's one of the people that's helped keep them, not only helped keep them, but probably taken care of a few things for him too. You know, Agent 47 style, the twine around the wrist and the choking from behind, the car seat kind of business. You know what I mean? Tseng is gonna know everything Shinra's got his hands in. He is smart. He is powerful in his own right. He can. If the Turks can give the party the business, if the Turks can take the party to the limit, you know that Tseng can take care of business on his own right. It'll be really interesting to see exactly how they execute the character moving forward. His tie to Aerith, his tie to Zack, those are the two big things to take away from all of that. He's going to have once Zack is revealed in the story, however they decide to reveal him, where he's at and what he's been doing, whatever the mystery winds up being, Tseng is going to have a hand in it. And the other Turks aren't going to know about it, because the other Turks kind of think he's a company man, like Reno and Rude. Like, there's that one line in Remake where, you know, he's saying, well, consider it, you know, us balancing the scales. You know, we use so much energy from the planet, we gave energy back by dropping the plate. And Rude's like, do you actually believe that? You know, I think they don't know what to think of Tseng, and I think that's exactly how he wants it. Now, dropping the plate, being cool with it, he's cold. And that is ruthless villainy kind of stuff. I feel like he takes this morally gray standpoint where he's like, look, I'm just following orders, you know, for the greater good. I think his thing is all about the greater good. What can he do as the greater good, as he continues being the leader of the Turks and being like basically the keeper of all these secrets and all this knowledge and all these bad things they do. But whatever's going on with Zack and Aerith, and even Cloud or all the other stuff that's going on, he's going to know about it. I think he's going to have a hand in it moving forward. So I'll be interested to see where they go with Tseng going forward. He's a wild card, like Genesis is going to be, right? See, I thought I wasn't going to sneak it in there. I did. But he's going to be a wild card, and I can't wait to see what they do with him, especially as the fall of Shinra begins toward the last act of the game. It starts to fall apart, kind of what role he's going to play. Does he still get stabbed by Sephiroth? Does Tseng make a noble sacrifice to save Aerith at some point? Something to think about. It's possible. It's very possible. Because Advent Children is undone now. So he won't exist. He doesn't necessarily have to exist past what is going on right now. None of them do, to be honest with you. Like, it's all up in the air. But Cisne and Zack, wherever Zack is, Cisne is going to be. And Cisne is going to be there on Tseng's order. Because, again, he knows that Cisne kind of like Zack. Maybe has a little thing for Zack. But Zack and Aerith are the thing. They're the thing. Cisne, she'll be a wild card too, because I think she'll be reporting directly to Tseng. So that'll be interesting. There's a lot of interesting stuff revolving around that character. That's why I want to talk about him tonight. But let's get the conversation started. Y'all know how we do it. Throw a comment in the section below. Let me know what you think about Tseng. And throw me your wild theories about him. I didn't really throw out a whole lot of wild theories that I have about him in this video. This is just to get the conversation rolling, to get the thoughts percolating up here, right? Start thinking about the character, because he will have a big hand in the story moving forward in Remake. I really feel strongly about that. I think that's the direction they're going to go with him. But anyway, post your comments below. Let me know what you think about that. Throw a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. I got more stuff coming all the time. I got a bunch of Remake content planned that I'm working on right now. I've got some other things planned that I'm working on. Of course, I'm working on my projects all the time. So follow me on Twitter and on Instagram, Kaufman20XX there at the top of the corner. You all have a good night. Be good to each other. Stay safe out there and keep rocking. I'll see you all in the next video.